Good afternoon, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Wanted to get on today, talk about this traffic citation, because as far as I'm concerned, anybody that has a traffic citation shouldn't have a worry one in the world about the traffic citation if you know what it's about. The thing about traffic citations is it's all trafficking of persons. Every last bit of your licensing from the states for driving is for trafficking in person. And this is specifically because a driver's license is only required of public officials. No other reason. The reason that the driver's license is required is because if you are considered to be what they call a United States citizen, then you belong to the United States. And if you're traveling outside of the United States, which is Washington, D.C., the 10 square miles there. So if you're traveling outside of that and you're in the performance of functions of public office as a public official, which is a 24/7 position at all times, then you're required to have a driver's license to perform those functions of public office outside of the office. This means that when the state says you are required to have a driver's license, they have to prove first, or there has to be proof in, on, and for the record first, that you are a public official performing the functions of public office. Now, I've done a video on this where I read through Title 26 of the U.S. Code, Section 7701, subsection H, where it defines the motor vehicle operator's lease and how it operates. And it's a series of transactions that leads one to realize that the performance of public office is a requirement. It's a requirement. Cannot be done without that requirement. In other words, they cannot enforce the driver license or any traffic citation stemming from the use of a driver license unless you are actually in the performance of a public office, which again, like I said, is a 24/7 role. And this is the primary element of their entire jurisdiction. If you are out in public, it is a presumption that you're performing a public office. This is totally wrong. You can be in public view, but operating or conducting your own private affairs. Doesn't mean just because you're in public that you're performing public office. So when we think about this Title 26 of the U.S. Code, Section 7701, subsection H that I discussed, and I will post the YouTube video that I did on it so you can get clarification on that again. But the whole thing of it is that when you go to get a driver license and you take that test, part of the transaction of taking that test to make sure that you're qualified for the safety management part of the driver's license is that you have to qualify it with a handwritten statement under penalties of perjury that your intent is for trade or business. And it's a quote, trade or business. And trade or business, again, in that video that I'm going to post, you'll see it's defined specifically as the performance of the functions of public office. So you have to literally write a handwritten statement and sign it in wet ink under penalty of perjury that your intent is to use the automobile at least 50% of its time for trade or business, which is the performance of functions of public office. Okay? That has to be there first. Then to follow up along with those transactions in a current contract that is still in force. In other words, it hasn't been finalized. It is not over. It is still in force. So each transaction is a performance of functions of public office. However, if that statement isn't there, then it's only a presumption. And everybody is operating on a presumption. It's the only way they can present facts to a court case with a fictional plaintiff. See, there's another problem. They have a fictional plaintiff. How can you bring a fictional plaintiff and say the plaintiff has been caused a loss, harm, damage, or injury? A fictional plaintiff cannot suffer. It's fiction. It cannot feel pain. It cannot be made whole. There is no such thing as a whole fiction. No such thing. So when we think about these traffic citations, again, I urge people. I'm going to post that video in the chat section for people to watch. And I hope you watch it. No one, with the simplicity of I have never made a statement of intent. And the state has no record of a statement of intent that would qualify the driver's license. In other words, make it complete and accurate. It is not accurate. There's an error on the face of the record. What is the error? The intent has never been stated. So again, with the state not having the record on the face of the evidence on the face of the record that there is an intent placed, they also don't have the follow-up transitions or transactions that have to occur, which is the paperwork. Every day, daily, they are required to have a daily motor vehicle usage report. So if they don't have the daily motor vehicle usage report and they don't have the statement of intent, then they have absolutely no evidence except the presumption of the officer that pulled you over. Don't argue with him on the road. Gladly accept his ticket. You don't even have to educate him. Just gladly accept his ticket. He will get his education on the other end. See, these guys have quotas, and that's why they write those tickets. So on the other end, when he sees that this ticket that he wrote is disqualified, he's going to think twice about issuing a ticket to the same guy again. Instead of getting mad because the guy tried to give him a lesson on the side of the road and he's now going to start hunting him down, and every time he sees him, he's going to find some kind of infraction, which is easy for them to do. They're supposed to use their own discretion, so they can make up charges. And so when they do that, they start hunting you down. That's the wrong way to do it. Educate them on the other end so that when they see that their quotas aren't being affected by writing tickets against certain people, they'll start leaving those people alone. And when other people start seeing that those people are being left alone and start going to them, hey, how come they leave you alone but they keep harassing me? Well, it's simple. You're driving and you admit that you're driving without rebutting the falsity that you never made any intent. So we get to educate just by our actions. But again, I warn you to be careful about your actions. Pick your battles. This is my problem. This is what I learned in my last 5-6 years of research, is that my last case 5 years ago was a battle because I chose it. I made it a battle the way I battled it. Instead of arguing with the officer on the side of the road, I should have just let him tow my truck, had him write me the citation, and then showed up in court. Instead, I wanted to fight it right there on the side of the road, and they broke my window out. They arrested me. I ended up in jail and then had to go through the whole court case and still ended up with 60 days in jail. Now, granted, I lost that case in the eyes of most. To me, it was a win. To me, it was a win. To me, the guy that had 93 cases in 3 decades, that's over 3 cases a year. That's one at least every 4 months. Without fail. Didn't matter if it was a driving charge, interference with official acts, disorderly conduct, dog at large. Didn't matter. I was in those courts every 3 months. And now 6 years, none. None. If that doesn't tell you something, I don't know where you're looking for your evidence. Don't keep asking me for evidence. My evidence, everybody has always looked to the public record for evidence. Go look at the public record for your evidence of how I am successful. It'll show you 3 decades of consistency being pulled into that court and then all of a sudden, nada. That is your evidence. I don't have any records. I'm not filing documents. It's them filing documents. And when they quit filing documents on that name, that's your evidence. I'm obviously doing something right. I did things wrong for 30 years. Now all of a sudden, I have to be doing something right. What is that something right? I'm merely expressing the truth. What is true in the now time. Not what might have been true back then because I said it was true. I'm sorry, I made an error. But you have to agree that you are also in error because you agreed it was true as well. Now we have a mutual agreement of mutual mistake. Now we have to walk forward in mutual acceptance. See, if they want to try to walk forward and keep professing that that record is accurate, they now have to bring in the Department of Treasury. And the Treasury is already going to tell them, no, I'm sorry, you're wrong. How do I know this? Because I've been in touch with the Treasury every 6 months for the last 6 years. I call up the Treasury every 6 months. Hey, you guys got any debts listed public or private against my name or number? Well, what's your number? Come back to me. Nope, nothing listed. Thanks. So who is telling the truth? Is it the Treasury telling the truth? Or is the local yahoos down here professing that there's some guy out there named Keith Little with this number who owes them supposedly $8,600 and some dollars for various different fines, fees, and penalties? Somebody's wrong. And it ain't me. And it ain't the Treasury. Because we are in agreement. It's these guys down at the local county courthouse that are not in agreement. So now the record proves that they are the ones that are wrong. Period. I don't care how anybody looks at it. So when people go down and look me up. Keith Orland Little. Keith Orland Little. O-R-L-A-N-D. Little. L-I-T-T-L-E. Look it up. Waterloo, Iowa. Look up that criminal record. It's pages long. 93 cases. It's this thick. When they stack them together, it's this thick. 93 cases. So, when it comes to the traffic citation, again, realize you have to have made a statement above and beyond the test, the registration of the automobile, the insurance. You had to have made a separate handwritten statement according to the way it's written. A separate handwritten statement, separately signed, stating under penalty of perjury that your intent in doing all of these transactions is the performance of a function of public office. If you do not have an oath to perform the functions of public office, you cannot make such a statement. You first must have a seat in public office to then be required to have a driver license. Period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is that simple. And I urge anybody, not just in the United States, but in all of the 50 states of the Union, Canada, Mexico, Peru, China, Russia, Australia. I don't care where you're from. Prove that I am wrong. Prove that any driver license or any license whatsoever in any country has an element other than, first, requiring an oath of the functions of public office. In order to be subject to the licensing of Congress here in the United States, in order to be subject to the licensure of a Congress, you have to take an oath to that Congress. You have to have a peace treaty with that Congress or superior. And if you have one superior, then you're not subject to it. They are subject to the superior oath. The law is to be uniform throughout all jurisdictions. And he gave us the same immutable promise of his oath that he swore unto Abraham. And he swore it unto himself because there was no greater to swear it unto. So he doesn't swear his oath unto us. He swore his oath unto him and professes. And this is where we get a man's word is his bond. Because I don't need to profess that I swore an oath to some other man, and that is what bonds my word. I accepted his oath, and I use his word, and that's what bonds my word. So if they're using words that aren't bonded, then how do they have any enforcement? It has to be bonded in writing, not just by a signature with a presumed intent, but with a clarification of intent. An actual statement of intent. Knowing and willing to take an oath to the state as opposed to accepting his oath. I can't do that. I've already accepted his oath, and he's already told me if I accept another oath, then I've denied him. And if I deny him, he'll deny me. So it's up to them to show that their law is uniform with his oath. And they can't do it. Because when you realize that you have to write a statement of intent of performing the functions of public office, which require you to take an oath of office of their office, not his. See, I am in fact a public servant. Every time I'm out in public, I serve my fellow man. I am there for you, not for the public entity. I am there for you. That is my public service. I've not taken an oath of a public seat of office or a political seat. I get off of my ass, out of my seat, because a man does not live by bread alone. And actions speak louder than words. So again, don't fight with the guy on the side of the road. Let your actions speak and write them down and send them through that postal master. That's the trustee. Make sure that when you write them down, that it is your true intent and nothing else. And when you realize your true intent is directly relative to his intent, it's no longer your intent. It's our intent. It's we, us, and our. And this is what destroys all of their banking terms that they say that it's us. or we, us, and our. Look in the laws to see how they use we, us, and our. It's always a joinder. Well, what is the true joinder? What is the true bond? Is it your word? Or is it somebody else's presumption because you signed a paper? Quit signing. I quit signing 6 years ago. I'm done. They have no force of effect of any contract. None. My word is my bond. Why do I need to sign a paper with somebody else's words on it? You can't take my words and write them down? Isn't that why you got a stenographer? Because if you end up with somebody that knows how to speak English, but he can't read and write, but he's been competent enough to speak it, you got somebody that can write it down? Isn't that the purpose of a man? His word, a man is bound by his word, so that somebody else can hear it and discern for themselves, and then portray it to others? Isn't that the true record? Why is it everybody so concerned with 8 million codes when there's one book? One book in each culture called spiritual scriptures. And they all coincide. I don't care what religion you're from. I don't care if you're from China. I don't care if you're from Australia. I don't care if you're a tribe from Peru. You all have the same basic element of Scripture, and that is to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This is self-preservation instinct. It's derived from natural law. That's where we get our Scriptures. Our Scriptures are things that we've observed, recorded, and then reported by scripting it. That's where we get our Scriptures, is from our observance and our actions. So what came first? A man's word or the writing of a man's word? Again, quit arguing with these people and just correct the record. If you correct the record and show them where you never made any such statement, then they have to admit that, yeah, okay, you're right, the record's wrong. You're not a public official, and you're not subject to this. They have to admit it. And it's very plain writing. Plain writing. And they go by this too. This is another problem with the courts. Everybody goes in there and thinks that they're using plain writing because they use a little bit of English here and there. No, that's not plain writing. That's called legalese, and it's using political grammar. It's using religious grammar. It's using all kinds of grammar besides concise English. Plain writing. If, then, go to. If such and such occurs, then you do this. It's the only way things happen. The only way. So again, I urge people, start researching. No one should be suffering from traffic citations. No, nobody. It's the simplest thing to beat. Just by placing it in on and for the record that I never made such a written statement and the state has no record of it. Without that statement, your record is false. Certification is false. It was never certified as true and correct. That's the certification. All certifications pose that the information is true and correct. Therefore, if the record is wrong, then the certification is false. Any error in the record, any error in the record, certification is false. Period. Including the birth certificate, where all financing for the military construct is originated. It is the original financing instrument for everything else that goes on in your life. And it is the assumption that one day you will take on the position of a seat in public office, or at least be qualified as a commendable citizen, civilian. And that's just not so. Just not so. It was never my intent And then through those 18 years of growing up in education, we're educated in military schools that, again, don't teach us about the intent. And then we're told that we need a driver's license and a Social Security card in order to get a job. What is a job? Well, a job is employment. And employment is the civilian side of the military deployment of a seat in public office. If you're going out and getting a job at McDonald's, you're filling the seat of a public office without knowing it through the identification and the SS5 application. Well, how do you expect to get to and from work when they interview you for McDonald's and you live 5 miles away? Well, what happens in a blizzard? Oh no, I got a big 4-wheel drive. I can get to work. Oh, so you got a driver's license? Yep. You're doing it to yourself. Think about what you're really doing and quit. Quit the public office. Rebut the 12 presumptions of the Roman courts. Because they're all presumptions. Every last one of them. Every last one is a mere presumption. Nothing more and nothing less. And all you have to do is remove the presumption by placing the correct, true facts on the record. I never made such statement, and the state doesn't have any record of it. Not only does the state not have a record of that statement, but the state doesn't have a continuous chain of title to that record, certificate of title, stating with the daily motor vehicle usage report showing the time log or the mileage of the motor vehicle that it was used, at least 50% of its use. So if the state doesn't have any of those records, then how can the state, as a fictional plaintiff, suffer a loss or make such a claim? Let alone, it's a third-person non-witness that's bringing the claim. What do you mean? It's the officer that pulled me over, but he's not the one that made the claim. He wrote it up on a citation, and then a prosecutor rewrote it, re-scripted it. Re-scripted it? You mean he took it from a commercial grammar, from an idiot who didn't know what he was doing, who gave it to another idiot who didn't know what he was doing, and then transferred a copy to another idiot known as a prosecutor who knows exactly what they're doing, and changed all the grammar? Yeah, see? Is that the original form? I want to see the original form. I'm going to take that citation into court with me and say, well, this says citation. Traffic? Citation. Let's talk about traffic first. 1 USC 1. Singular means plural. Plural means singular. Traffic. And in Title 49 of the U.S. Code 30103, 30301, something like that. I'll find it someday again. Oh, it's easy to look up. But it says commerce. Now, this is in the Transportation Code, and we're talking about a traffic citation. And in the Transportation Code, it says commerce means traffic, transportation, or trade. So if traffic means commerce, transportation means commerce, trade means commerce, trade or business in the IRS code, stating that everything is for federal income tax purposes, means that income tax means that you have confessed to holding a seat of public office. You liars! You're the one professing it. You're the one lying. Remove your lie from the record, and it only leaves their lie. Remove your lie, and it leaves them as the liar. Period. Plain and simple. So again, I'll post that video I did here a little over a year and a half ago, I think, on traffic citations. Certification is false. Period. Period. And this goes for any licensing. Again, the licensing is under Congress. So in order to have any kind of license, whether it be a driver license, a business license, a liquor license, or anything like that, you have to have a seat in public office in order for anyone to require a license. That means you have to have already taken an oath of public office to have that seat, to then be required to have a license of any kind. And again, I issue this to the world. Anyone that can prove that wrong in any construct of any government that is running under insolvent bankruptcy, prove to me that I am wrong. I assert this for every code out there. I don't care if you're from France, Germany, Australia, anywhere. Every government runs the same way, under insolvency. Therefore, they have no claim. They have no assets backing anything. The only asset that backs anything is the words on the paper. And if you're lying with them, they're going to run with it because you're the one giving them credit for their lies. You're backing up their lies. Remove your lie from the record and they're the only ones that's lying. Now they have no substantial backing to their lies. Period. Period. Quit living in a lie. I'm putting the truth out there. And like I said, that video has been out there for 1.5 years. I'm surprised people aren't sharing the shit out of that. It behooves me, really. It really does. People looking for answers, and I give them the answer. And I'll be damned if I still don't have people wanting me to help them with their traffic courts. You've got all the help you need. Quit lying. It's you lying. Tell them, I never made such a statement. That's all it takes. And then when they try to say, well, you were driving, you were doing this. Well, where's the daily motor vehicle usage report that is required to substantiate the state's claim? Where is the notification? Where is the written statement with my wet ink signature of my intent substantiating the state's claim? There is none. Therefore, it's a violation of 12b-6. And actually, it's 12b, all of them. It's a violation of Rule 12b. The state has made no claim of which there's any remedy. The state can't provide remedy. Only you can. How do you provide remedy? Removing your lies from the record. Period. You don't belong in that record. If you don't have an oath of office, that's not your record. Remove yourself. Period. In the meantime, I'm going to post my PayPal link, the other foreign links. Please hit that PayPal button. I could always use it. While I'm in transition myself, trying to get my stuff and my companion stuff set up on the upper levels. But most of all, share the information, people. That's where the value comes from. If you're not sharing this, then you're failing yourself, me, and everyone else in what is true. You're helping the lie continue. If you're not pushing the truth, you're helping the lie continue. If you don't stand with me, you stand against me. And while I say I love you guys, and if it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this, again, it behooves me that so many of you just sit there and don't do anything. I saw a comment a little bit ago, somebody's loving the hell out of the video because they're currently involved in a traffic citation. Why wait until you're currently involved? Why wait until you get involved with something to find out the solution? This is something that those of us that have the solution we're sharing, you should be grasping it and sharing the fuck out of it as well. I quit signing 6 years ago for a reason. Because I knew that one signature was the false claim. Every time I signed something and didn't know what I was signing, I myself was making the false claim. So when I walked out of jail the last time, and the lady on the other side of the counter tried telling me I had to sign these papers before they could let me out, I'm not going to do it. I don't care if you're willing to violate the judge's discharge order or not. I am not going to sign. But in the meantime, I do have this document with the judge's discharge order. Are you going to violate the judge's discharge order? See, that's what they have to rebut. They have to be able to rebut what is true on the record. And the judge already put a true statement on the record that I was discharged. Well, if I was discharged, then why are there still charges on there? Why are they still claiming those charges? If the judge discharged me, isn't it a discharge of the person as well? Where are they confused in this? See, he didn't put discharge of the person and the man. He just put discharge orders. Now, they discharged me, but they didn't discharge the person. So does that mean they recognize the difference between me and the person? They're still not willing to discharge the person? Or does that mean that they're still caught up in their cognitive dissonance and don't know what the person and the man are and the differences, and believe that I still owe, as a man, the debt of the person who is known as the obliger? If he's the obliger and I've already been discharged, then where does the obligation belong? These are questions people need to start asking. These are questions I started asking a long time ago. And I've been getting answers, and I've been putting them out there. And here it is 5 years later. I've been putting these answers out here for years, people. For years. Been talking about this driver citation. The certification is false for over a year and a half. And yet, here it is a year and a half later, and I still have people coming to me, asking me to help them in court. One statement. One statement is all it takes. The state has no record of the qualifying statement required to verify that the certificate is true and correct. Therefore, the certification in, on, and for the record is false. And they can't come back and say, well, no, it is true, because they have no record. They have to admit that the certification is false because they have no record. Period. So anyway, I'm done. I'm going to post those links. Please hit that PayPal button. I could always use it. I'm the guy out here doing everything for barter and trade. Everything's set up on donations. I don't buy. I don't sell. I'm not selling you information here. Nothing. I'm putting it out there freely. If you wish to share some love later, that's fine. I appreciate it, and I hope you do. But again, the important value, the one I really wish I would see, is people sharing this information so people quit hounding me to help them in court. You can do this yourself. You don't need anybody else to tell you that you have been lying. All you have to do is admit it yourself and see where you've been lying and correct it. That is it. So anyway, I'm out. God bless y'all. I love you. Have a great day. I'm watching you. If you think I'm only watching them, I watch everything that comes through my views, my senses. I take it all in. And those of you that are taking action, I see it. Those of you that come watch my videos and stuff and still don't do anything, yeah, kudos to you for watching the videos. But I'm not going to give you any other kudos. I hope it soaks in one day that you actually get up off that seat and let your actions speak louder than any word ever put down on paper. With that, I'm out. God bless y'all.